Coming at you live from America's podcast studio, Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. The landscape contractor and green industry platform for success. This is the Podscape, brought to you by Lmn Software.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Podscape. Here on a Wednesday afternoon, we're bringing you bidding and estimating. If you're wanting to get into that commercial landscape work, this is the podcast for you. Trust me, we talk about turf grass science, we talk about landscape design, but I mainly focus on the commercial landscape contractor who is bidding on commercial work through real estate developers, through commercial general contractors. That's what I love. That's what I think is my bread and butter. We've done so much of it throughout my career, and I want to pass that information along to you guys. So this is the topic tonight. It is bidding and estimating with the turf teacher here on the Podscape. Before we get started today, I want to give a big shout out to Lmn Software because none of this would be possible without them. I've personally been using their software in my own company, and so far it's been a complete game changer for my business. Lmn is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. From budgeting, estimating, CRM, time tracking, and so much more, it's a simple do-it tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about Lmn is they have a free version, which you can begin using today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. golmn.com/free.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
That's right. Turf Teacher is helping you grow, and let's grow together. Because you know what? Accurate estimating is the most important thing to the profitability of any landscape contracting company. You have to make money. And tonight we are talking bidding and estimating. You, as the estimator, I'm sure you're probably the one estimating. I want to estimate all of our work. I don't want to hire someone to come on board and do my estimating. Me as the owner, I'm doing it. Now, as the company grows, yes, that's going to be different. And it's okay to hire someone to go and estimate a lawn care job for you or a mowing job because that's, a square footage price. But what if you aren't building this $100,000 poolscape or hardscape job that includes an outdoor kitchen, an outdoor entertainment area? You more than likely want to be the one doing the estimating. And so the first question you've got to ask yourself, do you have the resources to get this stuff done? If you don't have the right equipment, don't attempt it. You can't go from mowing your entire career to jumping into commercial work. You're going to have to slowly build yourself up to that next step. What about site considerations? Do you know anything about that? What is the lay of the land? What type of soil is there? You've got to know these type questions before you want to bid on the project. How can you do the work efficiently and in the most cost-effective manner? Well, software like Lmn is going to help you do that. But you got to have your systems already in place. You got to know your cost per personnel hour. How much does it cost you per person working? What is the risk and how will you manage them? Risk management is a big, big part of contracting. And what should your profit margin be on this type of work? This type of work is profitable. You just got to wait on your money for a pretty good while. You're going to be waiting 60 to 90 days before that commercial builder is going to pay you. It's just the way it is. You're not going to get down payments. You're not going to get money up front to get started. In fact, they're going to ask you for money. A couple episodes ago, I had people, emailing me right after the episode, and they were saying, Eric, I did not know you had to pay to bid on some of this work. Well, you don't necessarily have to pay. You've either got to submit a bid bond or bring a certified check, which a certified check means it comes out of your checking account. I mean, it does. And when you submit your bid, they hold on to that check, or they've got a copy of your bid bond, and it's only used when your bid is accepted. So let's say you're bidding against 2 other individuals, and they select someone else. They'll give you that certified check back, and then you just take it back to the bank, and you put it back in your checking account. But if they selected you, they hold on to that check almost as a retainer, making sure that you don't change your mind. Well, why would you change your mind? You're going to change your mind when you're like, uh-oh, I got the job. That means I was too cheap. And you start going back and you look and you're like, oh my God, I left out this item. What am I going to do? I think I'm just going to call the owner, or I'm going to call the builder and tell them I can't do it. They're going to be like, oh, no. We have your bid bond, or we have a certified check from you. We'll let you walk out of the contract, but we're going to hang on to this money and we're going to use it to hire the next person that was a little more expensive than you. So yes, you're not getting money up front. And when you finish, you can't knock on the door and say, can I have a check? And I know a lot of people in the green industry are used to that. They knock on the door when they mow that yard and they get that $50. It doesn't work like that in commercial landscaping. Oh, no. Well, the first thing you're going to receive when bidding on one of these jobs is the bid documents. And so in a competitive bid situation, this package is put together and is going to include an invitation to bid. Dear sir or ma'am, we would like to invite you to bid on this commercial project. And you're like, cool. You know, I got on the bid list. Remember a few episodes ago, we talked about how to get on commercial builders' bid list. It's basically typing up a nice letter, because they don't give a rat's you know what if you're big time on social media. They don't care if you have 100,000 followers on Instagram or 500,000 followers on YouTube. They don't care. What they want to see is that you are financially stable to do this job and to wait 30, 60, or even 90 days at times for your money. That's why you've got an invitation to bid. It's not on your Instagram account. It's because you've proven to them that you are qualified to do the job. Request for proposals. Remember RFPs? Request for qualifications. RFQs. They are asking you to submit your financials so that they know they can depend on you to get the job done. You're not going to be standing there every Friday wanting a check. You're also going to get bid instructions, bid forms, any supplements to it. The owner may have already changed some things. So anything that you're bidding on and the owner's already changed it on, you're going to see the original construction plans. And if there are any changes made to it, it's going to be addendum. They'll give you those addendum. They'll also let you know that if changes are made after you've accepted the job and they've accepted your bid, it'll be change orders from there on out. And then anything else pertaining to that job. But the one thing you need to pay close attention to is not only the actual drawings, the architectural CAD drawings, you better read those specifications, my friends, because there are horror stories out there when it comes to that. I've known individuals who have submitted their bids based only on the plan and realized later that they got the job because they didn't read the specifications, because the specs wanted you to add 1 year maintenance to your final bid. I know of a local landscape contractor here in town that drove to Charlotte once a week for 52 weeks because they got a set of apartments. They landscaped it. They turned their bid in. They won it. But they did not include 1 full year of maintenance. And not only did they go down there once a week for 52 weeks, they went down there for any irrigation trouble, any plants dying, remulching it, fertilization of the turf grass, the whole 9 yards. I also know of a contractor that planted a bunch of trees in our great state capital here. was for a municipal park. The landscape architect wrote in the specifications that wire baskets be removed from the trees. My good friend did not read the specifications and planted almost 200 trees with wire baskets on them. Lo and behold, this landscape architect actually showed up to the job site in a truck with a shovel wearing boots. You don't see that very often. But got out, and they were still there on site. My friend, he was a superintendent for this company. And he's like, oh, my God, who are you? What are you doing here? I'm the landscape architect. I designed this project. Well, what are you doing? I'm just making sure this is planted to my specifications. The dude just said, man, I just did a big gulp. He's like, what in the world did we miss? The old LA raked back the mulch, started digging around it, and said, you know what? There's wire baskets on these trees. I need every single one of them pulled up, removed, or if they're taken off, you need to prove them to me. Now, I'm not getting into that whole debate whether or not wire baskets should be left on or not. I think 100% they should be left on. You have some arborists and some landscape architects say leave them on, but in my business, my expertise, I've been in this business for over 20 years and studying landscape architecture and being licensed in every landscape license that you can possibly think of, you leave the wire baskets on. But that's not the issue here. The issue was you didn't read the specifications. And if you didn't read the specifications, then you have no argument. You have no leg to stand on. If you'd have read the specifications and it said to remove the wire baskets, you could have at least called the landscape architect and said, look, I don't agree with this. I am not going to warranty the plants. Or better yet, you might be able to get in touch with the owner, being the municipal county here, and saying, look, these are my recommendations. Leave them on. But if you don't read the specs, how are you going to know what to actually do? Also, when you are bidding on some of these jobs, you are going to run into some ethical issues, because good ethical conduct is necessary to maintain the integrity of the bidding process, but it goes on all the time. We have some issues of bid shopping, bid peddling, and even bid rigging. Bid shopping is when the commercial GC accepts your bid as a landscape contractor and they think it's a little high, even though you were low bid. They start shopping it around to other landscapers. Hey, can you do it cheaper than this? That's not a good thing. Bid peddling is when a landscape contractor heads over to the commercial GC's office and said, hey, I know you were awarded that shopping center down there, and I know them old boys that got the job working for you planting them trees, they a little bit expensive. I can do it cheaper. That's bid peddling. And then you have bid rigging. That might be you and a couple of your buddies bidding on all this commercial work and rigging it so that one of them gets it, each time. You'll do a rotational basis. So Bobby and his company is going to be high. Mike and his company is going to be a little bit more higher. And then you're going to come in with the right price, and they're going to say, all right, we're going to hire you because you were the cheapest price. And then you guys switch roles on the next contract that you're bidding for. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. But the one thing that I do like about commercial bidding is that they will pre-qualify you. And this will be caught. They will understand. It might take, a job or two before they're like, yeah, these are the same ones bidding on the stuff. They might have some rigging going on here. But you are bidding apples for apples because there are 100% specifications and construction plans to bid by. When planning your estimates, or we kind of term it estimate planning, once you determine you want to submit a bid, you got to prepare your estimate, which is the sum of all costs to complete the project plus your added overhead and project margin. Profit margin. Why did I say project? Sorry. Profit margin. What is it that you want to make? And again, based on your Lmn budget, all this stuff is already determined. You've got overhead figured in. You've got your profit margin figured in. having a software system just like that makes this bidding process so easy. You've already planned it. So, project documents need to include your specs. You're going to have your specs. You're going to have your plans laid out. You're going to have a copy of the contract. You need to know what it is. You need to read the contract before you even bid on the job, because that's going to lay out all of your payment terms. It's going to let you know right off the bat, hey, do you even have enough capital to bid on the job? If you're doing a $150,000, $200,000 landscape job for a commercial development or for the state or for the city, you need to know when you're going to get paid. That's the idea. Estimate planning. Do you have enough capital to do the job? Do you have the correct bonds? Do you have that bid bond? Do you have the performance bond? Do you have the payment bond? Do you have your surety bond? Do you have all the insurance needed to even bid on this work? Because you know what? You're going to be spending a ton of money up front before you buy the first plant. When you start getting all of these documents in place, there may be other specifics that influence the cost estimate. One is the site. Were you able to make a site visit? Were you able to go and look at the soil? Read those specifications. It may say landscape contractor 100% responsible for removal of topsoil and 100% responsible for bringing it back and spreading it back over. But you know what? Usually it's your grading contractor in there first, and they're going to strip it. They're going to get it down to hard pan. And in that case, you need to let the builder know, hey, if you're 100% responsible for the topsoil, you better be the one removing it and stockpiling it, or bringing it back to your shop and stockpiling it, because it will disappear. And just know that your estimating, it should be a systematic process. You need to have step by step by step. And you've seen me do it. You've seen me do it on Instagram. You've seen me do it on all social media, where I sit down with that yellow notepad to begin with. We print out the plans. We got those right here. Yes, I got the hugest TV screen here hanging in the office that I can do a pretty good takeoff from it. But I still want the plans on my drafting table. That way I can mark it up with a highlighter, colored pencils, whatever I need to do to make sure I've covered myself. But please, please have your process lined out. Define the phases of the project. What is it that you got to do first? What is it you got to do next? And what is it that you got to do last when building this project? List all the tasks and materials needed for each phase. Most of the commercial work that we've, worked on, same architect, same GCs. I can almost tell you what the trees and shrubs are going to be on the next job. Yes, the only thing that does change on some of these auto parts stores that we did a lot of landscaping on was whether or not they paved the parking lot or they poured concrete for the parking lot. And that was based on whether or not they owned the lot or they were renting the lot. If they rented the land, they only did asphalt. But if they owned it, they poured concrete. Because they don't plan on being there forever. So let's start determining our estimated cost. Step one, we're going to determine our labor cost for each task that we have. This is your required labor per task times your labor rate is going to give you your labor cost per task. And so, yes, it's going to cost you more money to do certain things. You're going to have different hourly rates for mowing versus mulching versus landscaping versus snow removal. And again, like I said, Lmn Software helps you do this. And not only will it help you do that, you can take their training and they help you set up your budget and all of that stuff. So I highly recommend having a software system like this and taking their training to help you know your numbers. And it makes it so simple and so fast. Step 2 is you're adding your labor burden. This is all of your Medicare, your Social Security, your federal unemployment, your workers' comp, your liability insurance, your state unemployment, and if you're paying any type of benefits, whether you're giving them, health insurance, dental, vision, and hopefully you can do that. And once you step up and you become a larger company, you're going to be required by law for one, but you're going to be making a whole lot more money. And when you can offer benefits like that, you're attracting better employees. But that is step 2, labor burden. Step 3, let's determine our materials cost. What is the price per unit times the number of what you need? That's your total material cost. Step 4, determining your equipment cost. If you own the equipment, it's going to be different than if you're renting the equipment. If you own it, it's calculated by estimating the number of hours you will use the equipment per year and dividing this number by the total yearly cost of equipment calculated by considering the operational factors. You should know exactly what it costs you to run that mower. You probably already do. Now you need to know how much is it going to cost you per hour to run that skid steer. Fuel, depreciation, insurance, the whole 9 yards. If it's rental, you got to figure in the equipment, its rental rate, the labor cost to pick it up and return it, and the cost to operate it, and the fuel. That is the fuel. Most of the times when you have a rental agreement with something like that, they're already providing the insurance for it. But you got to know these numbers. And when you look at a set of plans, you're like, I need the skid steer, I need my mini excavator, I need the dingo for this job, and I'm looking at probably 4 personnel on 3 or 4 days, 3.5 to 4 days. And like I said, construction jobs like this, you need to price it per day or at least, price it per half day. That crew, that dump truck pulling the trailer with the skid steer and the 2 individuals in it, plus everybody else that's with it. You got to know those numbers. Now, guys, if you need some continuing education, you need to listen to this right here.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
If you're needing irrigation, landscape, or pesticide credits, check out my website at turfteacher.com. Every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we host Turf Talk Tuesday for pesticide credits and have online courses for both irrigation and landscape contractors. There are also several opportunities to get your credits at one of our seminars that we do throughout the southeastern United States and information on our Christmas lighting course. Check it out again at turfteacher.com. Okay, so we finished up with step 4 a while ago. Now we're moving into step 5 when determining your estimated cost. Step 5 is adding subcontractor fees. You may have to sub out the irrigation work. You may not be a licensed irrigation contractor, but the specification calls for the landscape contractor to be 100% responsible for the design and installation of the irrigation system. Most of the commercial projects that we bid on, that is the case. We have our irrigation license, so we do that work ourselves. But you may be a landscape contractor who hasn't even thought about getting your irrigation license, so you have to sub it out. You can't go in there and do it. You can't. And yes, general contractors licensing allows them to do irrigation systems, but if they hire someone else to do it, like they're hiring you, you must be licensed. They can do the system themselves if it's in an employee of the general contracting company. But if they are subbing it out 100%, these people have to be licensed. Step 6, you might want to add some allowances. And the only time I can think about this is if you're doing landscape lighting and there are numerous fixtures out there that they can choose from, the different finishes, which might make the fixture cost go up. But 9 times out of 10, the landscape architect has already got this approved and it's on the plan. You're bidding apples for apples. So you're not having somebody come in there and bid, a cheap lighting fixture when you're going to be, pricing out the nice, copper ones and all of that. It's apples for apples. You might want to add some contingencies. These are sometimes added to protect you if some unexpected problems occur. One might be a week of snow, 2 weeks of rain. You never know. But you're going to have to cover your costs on that, because they are going to start penalizing you if you do not get the job completed by the time the contract says you will have the job finished. And then adding the project overhead. These are going to be bonds for it, like completion bonds, performance bonds, payment bonds. And a lot of bonds right here, right? You need to know your bonds. You need to know your bond language. But then if you're needing temporary storage, if you're needing, a porta-john out there, if they're not supporting it, what about a dumpster? You may need a dumpster for you and your crew, or a portable toilet. You might need the old porta potty. I'm trying to think of anything else that you might need with project overhead. I mean, there are times you might need a temporary office, but this is more or less if you're acting as a prime contractor instead of a landscape contractor. You are over the entire project, then you would be responsible for that. Add company overhead, office rent, accounting fees, taxes. But you know what? All this is already added in if you're using something like Lmn Software. This accounts for all of that. And overhead percentages generally are average between 5 and 20% when it comes to that. 10 is add markup and then determine profit margin. Determine the right price based on these factors: your cost estimate, the customer needs and expectations, and then your local market condition and what it is that your competition is getting out there. Kind of goes back to that marketing plan and studying your competitors, right? And again, I hate using that word. I'd much rather use the word colleague, but there are people that are going to compete with you. Your colleagues do not compete with you. Your competitors do. And I always refer to a competitor. I think competitor is just a more politically correct name for a lowballer. But guys, we've got to know this system. We've got to know these steps. And we should know what our costs are. We should know exactly what it costs us with our company overhead. We should know what it cost us to turn the light switch on Monday morning and turn them off Friday afternoon. What is it for the week? We should actually know what it is per day, maybe even per hour. What is your company overhead per hour? And so there are some other methods of estimating projects like this. Conceptual estimates are usually done by landscape architects. They're using cost models from previous projects. So the owner kind of knows what to expect before they actually submit those requests for bids. There's the square foot method. This is a calculation of the square footage of the project multiplied by unit cost. A lot of times irrigation is priced by this. Definitely mulch, definitely the installation of turf grass, pine needles, anything like that. Parking lot sweeping a lot of the times. But we're talking installation, not maintenance. But definitely installing the irrigation system and our sod and our mulch. Then there's unit price method. This bundles all cost factors such as labor, materials, equipment, and even subcontractors to come up with a unit price for the entire task. So we might know what it cost us to do X amount of square foot in a day of brick pavers. But you know where the best place to get this information from is your own historical data. And if you're not recording it, how are you ever going to know for future jobs? You gotta know. So what are some pitfalls that we may face when estimating? Remember that preliminary estimates are just this. They are quoting a price before you have a chance to make accurate calculations. And this is very, very risky. Yeah, I think I can do that job for $10,000 by just looking at it. No. You've got to sit down and put some numbers together. And some of the most smartest businessmen I know have even heard rumors about them that they don't know how to read and write, but they sure know how to add math. They know their cost. They know their numbers. They know what it is that they've got to charge. And they're doing well. But guys, inaccurate estimates can be caused by mathematical errors, omissions. You're leaving stuff out of the quote. If you don't understand the abbreviations on the plan, and if you can't read a scale. Reading an architectural and an engineer scale is key when estimating these plans. And if you don't have a scale, and if you're out this weekend, or if you're out doing some shopping for Valentine's Day, stop by Office Depot or one of the art supply stores and pick up an architect and an engineer scale. There are 4 scales that we are primarily going to see in commercial landscape construction. We may also see a 5th one, but the first 2 that are on the architect scale are either going to be a 1/4 inch equals a foot or an 1/8 inch equals a foot. Those are going to be primarily your construction details, pictures of building the backflow, pictures of installing the plants. Those are going to be in your architect scale. Your engineer scales, either 1 inch equals 10 feet or 1 inch equals 20 is the most 2 common scales. And that is for your bird's eye view, looking plan view. And you may also see 1 inch equals 30 feet. I know Gary Weicker, one of my mentors when I first got in the business, who passed away last year. We miss him already. Did a lot of plans in 1 inch equals 30 just because the site was so big. So 10 scale, 1 inch equals 10 feet is bigger. 20 scale is a little bit smaller. 30 scale is even a little bit smaller. Just like 1/4 scale is the biggest, and then when you drop down to 1/8 scale, it gets smaller. But know how to read your scales. So submitting your bid, once your estimate is complete and you are ready to submit it, you must make sure to follow all the instructions in the bid package. Bids must be due by Friday at 3 p.m., no exceptions. They must be delivered in a sealed envelope, no exceptions. They must be emailed by 3 p.m. Friday afternoon, no exceptions. Any bids received at 3 o'clock and 1 second will not be accepted. It gets that serious. You got to read your instructions. And your instructions may also tell you to go ahead and include that certificate of insurance, the bid bond, or the certified check. And a lot of the times you can hand deliver it to the office if you want. You can deliver it to the GC's office, but a lot of the stuff is, done via email and through U.S. mail. But you got to be on time because guaranteed, if they're asking you for bids by 3 o'clock, that means they must submit their bid either by 8 o'clock the next morning or sometimes even 5 o'clock that afternoon. They've got 2 hours to put all of your bids together and get the job done. But don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till the last minute. Now, when you are doing these jobs, make sure you write everything down. Have some type of system that records what it is that you do. Current projects are monitored more closely with a tracking system. This way you can track overruns and then take some corrective action a whole lot sooner. And definitely not make the same mistake twice. Information from a job cost recording system helps with future estimates by creating more accurate unit cost. You got to know how much it costs to do this stuff, guys. That's why years of experience helps. That's why most people do not jump into commercial landscaping right away. They start small, they start slow, and that is 100% okay. Get experience, build on your experience. But many analytical reports can be generated from cost data to review performance by project, activity, and even by the year. You got to know your numbers. Know them. And that way, when you do start implementing Lmn software, you've got all these numbers up here in your head. And it's a matter of helping set up that budget, that detailed budget. Use a cost code system, which include the following components like project number, activity classification, and distribution codes. That way you know how to retrieve this information quickly and readily. There are a bunch of tools out there for helping with estimating. They're going to help reduce the amount of time needed to complete the estimates. It's going to improve your accuracy. It's going to look more professional to your customer, especially when you can submit your residential bids through the Lmn customer portal. There's databases for unit costs, material and labor. Even Lmn connects to Site 1, so you can price all your shrubs, trees, hardscapes, your irrigation parts, the whole 9 yards. And that stuff's updated automatically. If Site 1 updates their price, it's automatically updated in Lmn. Multiple estimate report formats to present to the customer, tracking method for historical information, and the ability to recall any past project that you've done. You got to use these systems that are in place so you become more efficient, more effective, and definitely more profitable on each one of these jobs. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Podscape. And you know what? Turf Teacher will see you in the next lecture. For more landscape business expert advice, check out golmn.com/blog. And once again, a massive shout out to Lmn Software for sponsoring this podcast and making it all happen. Lmn is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. From budgeting, estimating, customer relationship management, time tracking, and so much more, it's the true do-it-all tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about Lmn is that they have a free version which you can use today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. And thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you in the next lecture. And that wraps up this episode of the Podscape. Thank you so much for joining us here, guys. I love each and every one of you. Life lessons and landscape lectures brought to you by the Turf Teacher and Lmn Software. We'll see you in the next episode. Turf Teacher out.